We request the audience to settle down. The guest speaker is about to arrive. We repeat, the audience to settle down as the guest speaker is arrived shortly. Volunteers, please take care that the audience are seated. We are about to begin the session. I repeat, volunteers, please take care that the audience are settled down. We are about to begin the session. To the notice of student participants of various colleges, certificates will be provided during the valedictory session. I repeat, certificates will be provided for various college student participants during the valedictory. To the notice of student participants of various colleges, we request you to remain till the valedictory as the certificates will be provided during the valedictory session. Students, the guest is arriving. Kindly settle down quickly. Volunteers, please take care. And once again, I announce certificates for college student participants of other colleges will be provided during the valedictory. So we request you to stay back till valedictory. Session 3 is about to begin. We request the students to switch off your mobile phones and maintain decorum throughout the session. Volunteers, please make sure that the students are settled. We request all the participants, faculties of other institutions and colleges, and the audience to settle down quickly as the session is about to begin. Participants and audience, the guest is arriving. We request the audience to settle down to begin with the third session of the Industry 5.0. The chief guest is arrived. We welcome Mr. Kannan Manoharan, OD and Talent Management Specialist, GMR Airport Limited, Hyderabad. We welcome you, sir. We welcome you all to the third session of the day, Recruitment Challenges and Meeting Expectations of Millennial and Alpha Millennial on Campus Drive. We request the audience to settle down quickly as we are about to begin our session 3. On the stage is Mr. Kannan Manoharan. Crowd, kindly welcome our guest of the day by cheering them up. Management is above all a practice where art, science and craft meet. I request Mr. Rajesh, Assistant Professor of Management Science, to introduce the session of Mr. Kannan Manoharan.
A very good afternoon. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to stand here to introduce the chief guest of the day. As Sri Krishna Arts and Science College is celebrating its 25th year, we have one more proud moment for the day. Okay, the speaker, Kannan Manoharan, is a student of our principal, Jagajeevan sir. Today he is here, it's because one inspiration is our Jagajeevan. To begin with, to tell about the chief guest, it is a privilege to present before you Mr. Kannan, a HR professional with 14 years of experience in varied HR functions with startups, established organizations in sectors like airport, oil and gas, engineering and construction, healthcare and information technology. Mr. Kannan has exposure to the entire gamut of HR activities, which involves the complete life cycle of an employee, including creating strategies, formulating policies, procedures, communications and research implementation, and many other processes. Measurement of effectiveness is also one of the key areas. He possesses keen interest in academic research and also versatile in developing new models based on sound literature and contribute to the growth of HR field in the management. Mr. Kannan is a physics graduate from Bishop Heber College, a post-graduation in business administration from PSG Institute of Management Science, a former programmer at CTS, freelancer, content developer, and there in career ladder, he had rose in various corporates with varied positions like assistant manager HR in L&T, ECC division as a senior functional analyst in Hexava Technology. Mr. Kannan was assistant manager human resource in Resource Engineering Chennai, HR manager in L&T Infrastructure and Engineering Limited. Currently, he is associated with GMR Hyderabad International Airport Limited in the domain of organizational development. We are honored with your presence, sir. The dais is all set for you to have interaction with the student community on the topic development. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. I now request one of the pillars of our colleges, Dr. R. Vijay Chamundishwari, Vice Principal Sri Krishna Arts and Science College, to do the honors to the chief guest by presenting him with a bouquet and a memento. Sir, we request you to kindly receive the honors. Thank you, ma'am and sir. The secret of successful companies is that they have gone to exceptional lengths to hire the best people. To clarify and elaborate on recruitment challenges and meeting expectations of millennial and alpha millennial on campus drive, we welcome Mr. Kannan Manoharan, OD and Talent Management Specialist, GMR Airport Limited, Hyderabad.
Thank you so much for that elaborate introduction. And I'm very happy to be in front of you all. I'm not sure how happy you guys are. I want to hear it once. Are you happy being here? Only half the people are happy. I know it's pre-lunch session. I requested my professor so much times not to do this to me, but he didn't listen. So are you all happy sitting here? Okay, so whoever said no, I'll make sure you're feeling a little happy at the end of it. I'll try. Okay. So first of all, I'd like to thank Jagajeevan sir for making a professional out of me. So when I walked into PSG 12 years back, none of us knew what we were capable of. So as a role model, as a professor, he showed us what each individual can do. And he didn't just inspire me to get into HR, he also inspired me to choose a specialization in HR, which is organization development and talent management. His paper for us in the first semester was OB, organization behavior. And there is no lecture where I have not mentioned Maslow's hierarchy needs. Like he has ingrained it into us so much that we reflect each moment of our life with whatever he has taught us. So I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you so much for all the teaching and the value you've added to our life. And of course, that applies to all the professors, lecturers who have changed the lives of so many people. So thank you all for that, first of all. Okay, now getting into the session, So the topic today is Generation Z, right? Which is you guys and the people who will follow y'all, right? Y'all are just at the verge of getting into, a new generation that is coming into the corporate sector. So how different life is for all of us because of the various dimensions that you all bring into the whole ecosystem is what we'll try and see in this session. Next slide, please. What's next slide? Okay, so these are few questions which we'll try and answer today. Of course, in 1 hour, we'll not be able to get a complete answer for all these questions listed there, but I'll try and do my best to answer a few of these questions in the limited, depth, whatever is possible with the time available for us. So, why Gen Z is different? Okay, we are all human beings. Why should this set of people be any different? Is a natural question. So that is something that we'll touch upon. And then what the companies are trying to do in order to address the new set of challenges or the new dimensions that Generation Z is bringing in. We'll look at that. And the next part is very important and interesting for y'all. What you guys actually need from the industry and how your needs are redefining the way we are looking at prospective employees, right? That is bringing a paradigm shift in the way the companies are treating employees and vice versa. So how that equation works is a question we'll try and answer, right? So when I talk about how companies are trying to manage the Generation Z, we look at the hiring process as a separate, pillar, because that attracting and bringing talent into the company is one piece we'll treat differently. And then what happens once you come into the system? How companies are adapting to that is something we will see. Next slide. Okay. So whenever we talk about a new generation, there are a new set of characteristics that define them, right? So what makes up a Generation Z person? The personality which is different from the others. So this generation is super social, right? When I say social, it's not just about the social media presence. There is a need to be more connected with the overall ecosystem. It's not just with the next person, right? We care for the world, we care for the universe at large. So this generation has more connect with the roots and the needs of being social and the need to have a social presence. Yeah, that is one characteristic. The next is, these people are very good at multitasking, right? There is no more a job where you go and say, this is what I'll do, this is the defined role that is there for me. Now you people are defining jobs. Right? Gone are the days when job descriptions were written by the HR and passed on to the employee telling, this is what you have to do. There is a situation now where an individual walks into an organization and creates a role or a profile for themselves. Right? That is the shift we are seeing. So with the ability to multitask, you people are showing us what can be done in the same 8 to 10 hours and what are the various things that needs to form a part of the same job. It is no more a linear path. There are various paths that we can take with such a talent coming in. And very entrepreneurial. When we say entrepreneurial, it just doesn't mean that you want to start a company or you want to take on your father's business. It's not that kind of an entrepreneurial mindset. Like for example, in a company that I worked for, or in the company that I'm working for right now as well, entrepreneurship is a value that the organization defines, right? Why will an organization define entrepreneurship as a value? Do they want you to start a new company? Resign from here and start a new company? Is that what they are suggesting? Say, I want some kind of response, at least nod your heads, so that I know you guys are listening and not using your mobile phones, which many of you all are, it's okay. Right? We don't want you to go resign and start a new company, but we want you to bring that entrepreneurial mindset into the job that you do. Now, most of the independent companies inside a group company is being run by an entrepreneur himself, though they are employed for a group at large, but they are entrepreneurs in their own sense because they are responsible for the balance statement, right? What the bottom line that the company makes is directly proportional to the work that they do. So that entrepreneurial mindset is more so prevalent in the Generation Z. Next, constant learning, right? Now the channels of learning is diverse, right? You can learn from Google, you can learn from YouTube, not the learning that you lie to your parents telling when you're using your mobile phone for a long time, I'm learning something. But seriously, we also learn, right? We use our mobile phones, we use our digital learning solutions to learn continuously. And organizations are re-looking at how they define their L&D program, because they no longer can do away with a classroom training session or a one-off offsite. That doesn't work anymore. So a lot of blended learning techniques, a lot of on-the-demand learning techniques need to be implemented, because this generation learns like that. So that is one more characteristic that is defining the way organizations are responding. And then philanthropists. So philanthropist just doesn't mean that you take money out of your pocket and give it to someone, right? The way this generation is caring about the planet as a whole, right? Now you can see a lot of people crushing newspapers, used wrappers and throwing it away. But most of you guys don't do it. Because we care for the environment, we know that someone else has to pick it and put it in the right place. Instead of waiting for that, we carry it in our pockets and then dispose it at the right place, right? That level of caring for the world as a whole, the society at large, is the philanthropy we are talking about. So that characteristic is also very evident in this generation. Digital natives. So when we say natives, it means you were born with that, right? Just like how, someone is born with a silver spoon, they call it. So this generation is born with the digital nativity. So you guys there are many people who don't know the world without a smartphone, right? I don't know how many of you all will appreciate long back when we used to use internet at the time when it came in, say 2003 or times like that. When we used to click on a picture, the picture used to load pixel by pixel. Have you seen that? It will load row by row. We have to wait for say 5 minutes for one picture to load completely. But you don't know that even happened, right? Most of us don't know. Now it is at the click of a button, we have digital content, 1080p to for 2400p, whatever, right? We demand that level of content now. So the digital natives redefine the way technology responds, to them from a company's perspective, and also how we can give you digestible modules that you can utilize. I mean, not just from a learning perspective, but also from a recruitment perspective, which we'll talk more. And then interactive is again more to do with social, so I'm not touching too much into it. Being tech savvy is again a byproduct of being a digital native. Less focused, like I can see right now. The span of attention is less than 8 seconds is what a research says. If somebody is not making it interesting enough for you in 8 seconds, you decide it's not worth your time, right? So that is something that everybody who comes in front of you has to keep in their mind. If they don't be attentive to that fact and they think that I'll make my point at the end of half an hour, they are gone, right? So they'll not be able to communicate what they wanted to, and at the end of the day, you don't learn anything, it's not fruitful for anybody. So less focused in the sense, you have so much to venture into, so much to see, so much to digest, that everybody who comes in front of you has very little time to convey what they want to convey. So that holds good as an employer as well. So the less focused is another factor which we'll be touching upon. Cautious, I'm not sure how many of you all agree, but I want to take a quick survey. How many of you all take risks easily in your life? Show of hands. How many of you all take risks easily? Not the risks where you don't wear a helmet and ride your motorcycle. That doesn't count. Real risks where you venture, yeah. Okay, I can see a handful. Okay, my thought was little different when I read this, but now I tend to agree more. The hands are not going up. This generation tends to be a little more cautious in their approach in terms of what they want to do out of their life, right? While the risk-taking ability has increased in terms of the monetary backup or the societal upliftment all of us have got together, but still when it comes to handling our own lives, we are a little cautious about how we want to develop ourselves or what we want to try. So that risk averse nature is also something the companies have to keep in mind, and you also have to keep in mind when you choose a company, which we'll see next, right? And this whole setup, why it is Why we are discussing so much about the characteristics? Because these form the fundamental blocks of what you expect from a company and what a company expects to do with you all, right? How our parents measured success? Any answers? If you go up and ask your father how he measured success, or if someone has to tell, yes, you're successful, what was the measure? Do we have microphones which we can pass around? No? Or it will be difficult to pass it around in such a huge crowd. Somebody who can stand up and say it loud is also fine. So how do you measure success, your parents' success? If somebody asked your father, or somebody asked your uncle, what is success?
Yeah, good morning, sir. What our parents are thinking is success is settlement. In a settlement means one own house and marriage, one good job. That's our parents are thinking.
Exactly. So she nailed it. Your name, please?
Kalai Selvi, sir.
Okay, Kalai Selvi. Right. So success, according to our parents, is settling down in life. So what is called settling down in life? You have to earn well. Previously, it was a government job. Now it is an IT job. You have to earn well. And then you have to get married, have a couple of kids. You're successful in life, right? So if I ask one of you, what is success for you in life? What would you say? Anyone? Staying independent. Good. Anything else? What is success for you guys? Traveling the world. Wonderful answer. Traveling the world. Yes. Achieving the dreams. Yes.
Sir, good morning, sir. I am Vipin Kumar,
Hi, Vipin.
BCom BPS from PSG College of Arts and Science. As of now, for us, success is to get placed in a well-reputed company, sir.
Okay, that is also a good dream to have. So yeah, fulfilling your dreams is success. See, getting placed in a company for earning well or for what? Elaborate on that answer a little bit.
Sir,
No,
becoming a pearl in a sea.
becoming a pearl in a sea. You want to be very tough to be found.
Financial freedom.
Okay, financial freedom. Okay, so the point I was trying to drive with this interaction is you all saw varied measures of success. Someone saying independence in life, someone saying I want to travel the world, to someone saying I want to get placed well, I want to be financially free. So what we as companies are learning is that no more a one-size-fits-all approach works, right? To motivate you guys to make sure that you are feeling a part of the organization, if we give one solution, it's not going to be enough. Because you come in with different sets of expectations, right? So the measure of success has really changed. The individual in you wants to come out. So for some, the individual might want to be financially free. For some, the individual might want to travel the world. We never know. But we are in a position where we are supposed to understand that need and cater to it. Otherwise, the good talent will go to another place which does that. Right? That is the trend that we are seeing in the industry right now. Okay, next slide please. Right, a little bit we saw about the characteristics. What as an individual in a Gen Z makes it so different for organizations, right? The next thing I wanted to also touch upon is the context in which the Generation Z is coming up, which makes it all the more different for companies and the expectations with each other. So like we just saw now, the life principles, the basis in which someone leads a life, or we always ask this question, no, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? That is completely individualized. And it is a very liberated situation in which we are living in. So that life principles are very, very individualistic and it has to be personalized. The solutions have to be personalized. This generation doesn't know life without internet. We saw it in the digital natives part. Preference of a casual approach, right? So when now Google says you can come to work in half pants, we are interested. Wear a Bermuda night suit and come for work, we are interested. Why? Is it because we want to get out of the bed and go to the office straight away? Why do we find that more attractive? Just be casual and come to work instead of wearing a blazer, tie, Yeah, comfort. This generation places the comfort above everything else. It's not the laziness of not being able to get ready in a suit, right? If I'm comfortable, I'll perform much better, because end of the day, you're going to office to perform your work, right? You feel you're performing better when you're dressed in a particular fashion. So this kind of a casual approach is not a wrong statement to say that, oh, this is a casual generation. This is a casual generation for a reason, right? They want to prioritize productivity before dressing up. That's the way to see it, actually. Okay? And we are seeing a lot of people who are positive about themselves, who are very, comfortable with their own competencies, which was not existent in a generation before, right? Earlier, you used to come and ask what the job needs me to do. People will be afraid to go to work. But now people are excited that they can go and demonstrate what is in them, right? They can show to the world. They see work as something which is a showcase to the world of their talents and abilities. That much of confidence in their own competencies, in their own capacities, is what makes them, find various other jobs in a short span of time. And then, how many of you all have heard about exit interviews in organizations? You have heard of the term, HR students at least? Yes? No? No HR students here? How many HR students here? MBA HR? All of you all are undergraduate students? Okay. Still you all have heard of exit interviews, your brothers, sisters, parents. So exit interview is something that is conducted by an organization when an employee is leaving, right? To find out the reasons of why they are leaving. Okay, now the trend is stay interviews. It's just the opposite. So we are focusing on polar opposites, where we go and find out with employees why you're staying with us. Okay, not to help them find reasons to leave, but we are asking them what is compelling you to stay with us. The reason for asking that question is this statement, right? This generation will switch jobs if they don't find a compelling reason to stay. They don't want a reason to leave, right? If they don't find a reason to stay, they leave. Do you understand the difference between those two statements? Between not finding a reason to leave. So it is like something that is not as per your expectations, people were leaving jobs. That is old story. Now, if you don't exceed the expectation of your employee, people are switching jobs. Right? So that is the shift in which companies are looking at stay interviews as an alternative to exit interviews. Happiness quotient, from the answers that we heard also. Why do you want to travel? It's because that's where you feel happy, right? Why do you want to feel independent? Is because that's where you feel happy. So now everything, all the concerted efforts of this generation is towards finding happiness in life. How many of you all know that United Nations publishes a happiness index report? You know that something called as happiness index exists? Good, I'm glad to see a few hands. So happiness index, and you know what is the rank of India in that list? Sorry? Do you know where it is? Okay, take a rough guess. If there are 150 countries, what should be India's rank? A rough guess. 140. It's so pessimistic in your views. You feel India is unhappy? Okay. So, but that is the sad reality as well. We are 136 of 146 countries. But the happy news is, last year it was 140. So we still made a 4-point jump. So the point being, now more and more people are focusing on happiness as an index of the quality of life. And this generation especially wants to derive happiness out of anything and everything they do, including the job. So that presents a different set of challenges to companies. Okay, I think we can move to the next one. I've already moved, okay. So now I just tried and captured with a little research what Gen Z wants. But of course we have a huge sample size here to tell what Gen Z wants out of a company. We'll just hear 3 or 4 answers. When you join a company, what do you want out of that company? Yes?
So salary.
Salary. A salary they have to give. Okay. Next. Huh? Comfort and freedom is what you want from a company when you join that. Even if they don't give salary, you're okay? Okay, that was a joke. Anyone else? What do you want from a company?
Sir, good work-life balance.
Good work-life balance, right? What else you want from a company?
Sir, location.
Preference of location, yes. So what the Gen Z wants, whatever you told will get captured in one of those parameters there. If not, we'll discuss that separately. Fair pay, like we had the very first point, salary. Now, there is a word fair before that salary, right? What fair means? They just don't want salary. They want to make sure that when I compare my work with another person's work, and if I perceive that I have done the same amount of work, then I have to be paid as equal to him, right? Or the nature of work that I'm doing, if it is more risky, I need to be paid more. So that is what the word fair means there, right? So fair pay is an expectation from this generation that it's not just necessary, enough for me to receive a salary for my work. When I compare or when I contrast with my society, with the people I know, with the kind of talent I know, and the good thing about this generation is that they're also appreciative of why someone else is paid a little more, right? They are well aware of what competency, what talent they possess, and this awareness is the necessity because it helps you go to the next phase, right? Otherwise, you will never make that transition. So the good thing about this generation is they know the gap exists, but the responsibility of an employer is to let them know what is the gap and why the pay is less. If you want to earn more, how you can earn more. So as a personal example, when my profile was read, I started as a programmer with CTS, right, in the year 2006, right after my BSc in physics. I started as a programmer. So when I was, taking home salary, when I compare it with the person sitting next to me, it was like just half of it. You know why? Because that guy had a BE, I had a BSc. Okay? So now, okay, understandable. When you recruit a talent, you can always make that demarcation. But after a point, if we both are delivering the same kind of work, and if I feel that I am able to deliver as much as a BE does, then I feel I should be compensated fairly, right? That's not such a bad expectation, no? End of the day, we are both are producing the same amount of work, right? So that's one reason why I resigned from there, but that is the kind of outlook that people have towards pay now. So they want to know why the difference and they want to equip themselves so that that difference doesn't exist anymore, right? The next thing is on benefits and perks. Now the person who spoke before me touched upon on the way forward slide. I don't know how many of you were attentive. So the benefits and perks that companies offer earlier were limited to insurance, medical policies, medical bills reimbursement and all that. Now you know what kind of benefits you get when you join some of the big fours or IT organizations. Any novel benefit that you have heard of? Insurance, I told. It's it's basic. I want you to think beyond that. Is there any other benefit that you have heard of that is completely new? You were excited to hear about that. Anybody? Sorry, I'm not able to hear you. Be louder, no, it's okay. Concession in what? So concession in the field of work that company is in.
Work from home.
Work from home kind of benefits, yes. Any tangible benefit which you can equate it to money, but it's not directly money. Anything you can think of? So extending insurance for parents, extending insurance for comorbidities and all that, yes. So now companies give gym allowances, you know that, gym memberships. Why do they give gym memberships? Sorry? So companies want you to focus on your physical health, like as much as you want it. So there are so many people who want to go to the gym, but don't have the means to do that. So company thinks if I give you a gym allowance, you'll be more interested. A beauty parlor allowance. I'm not lying here. These are all reality, right? Companies give that. Why? Because these are all things that make a job lucrative or attractive for the younger generation. Right? No longer are the benefits restricted to insurance policies and mediclaims. Yeah, somebody is telling something? Paid vacations, yes. So for someone who wanted to travel the world, they'll immediately close their eyes and join the company, yes or no? Because that's exactly what they want to do with their life. And what better if they can do it for free, right? So these benefits and perks are extending beyond our imagination, where it gets more into the wellness aspect of it, be it physical or the mental wellness. We'll see separately about mental wellness and why it is important. Flexible schedule, someone told. So in the beginning of COVID, when COVID just struck, many companies had to adopt a work from home model, right? So now if you go back and ask many of the people who are working from home, they want to go back to office. Have you seen that? Why do they want to go back to office? Why? என்ன சொந்த வீட்டிலே 4 நாள் இருந்தா மரியாதை போச்சு அதானே? Is that the reason? Actually, yes. My wife used to serve me coffee during the first month. Second month it came down to water. Third month I had to step out. Nothing comes to the room. Okay, that jokes apart, but people really look forward to having a hybrid work culture. It's no more like remote working is the best or going to office is the best. If I get up one morning and I feel like working from home, I should be able to do that. Today I feel a little tired, I want to work from home. I should be able to do that. Today I feel a little bored, I want to socialize with people. The office should not ask any questions and welcome me inside the office. Right? That's the kind of model we are moving into, because this is more, the need is more from the employee, right? It's all mood based. What they want to do, they should be able to do. So that's the kind of flexible work cultures we are talking about. And we are talking about value based careers and meaningful work. So I see a lot of interns, right? So a lot of interns work with us, not just in this place, many places earlier also. So there is a shift in the way the interns think about the job. Right? So today when I ask an intern to go and take a printout, they're not happy. Why? Because taking printout is a menial, not a menial job. Probably they think they cannot learn much out of it. Once you know how to handle a printer, should you do it every day? No, right? So the work they want should be more purposeful and meaningful. So they don't understand what going to a printer and taking a print, how it will contribute to the productivity of this workplace. So the challenges to the organization is in establishing this link. The smallest piece of work that you do, they should be able to give you a mental map as to how it will end in the result of the organization. It is all the more difficult with softer aspects of the job, like for example HR, which is always called as a support function, right? In many of the organizations that is true. There are few companies which look at HR as a strategic partner. So when you're a support function, you don't really know whether you're contributing to the business needs of the company, whether you're an earning member of the company, or you're a cost center for the company. So the generation of today wants to make sure that the job they do is meaningful, purposeful. It doesn't mean, see, somebody has to take the print, right? Otherwise the company won't run. So the challenge for the employer is in allocating work and making sure the communication is transparent and as large as a bird's eye view, that the employee knows. Today if he takes print out, maybe in 3 months he'll be doing something else, in 6 months something else, and then this is how in 1 year he would have contributed to the overall goals of the company. That's the kind of purpose and value. So they look at companies who pay a lot of attention to the value proposition that they are bringing to the society at large. So nowadays when we purchase a mobile phone, most of the mobile phones don't have a charger, right? Why they don't have a charger? The boxes that come now, especially Apple started it and then Samsung copied it, as usual. But why do we don't have a charger? Has anybody thought about it? Cost cutting. See, cost cutting, are the prices of the phones decreased because they have cut the cost? No. Cost cutting for the organization. Why should I do cost cutting for the organization? Exactly. So we are talking about e-waste. So companies are concerned that a lot of e-waste should not be generated. So they don't want to supply charges in the box. Okay. So when you see a company that is caring so much for the environment, when they don't want to produce e-wastes, will you be naturally inclined to join that place or not? Because you also want to, in some way, to contribute to the environment, right? So the company is future looking, it thinks that this waste will add on to the woes of the nation. But that is a different story, why they cut the charger, right? After cutting the charger, they sell the cable separately for $200. So then you understand that the companies are not doing it really for controlling e-waste, just for generating money. Then you lose respect for that company. Is it a natural process or no? So this generation has information at fingertips, right? So you can always connect the dots and find out why a company is doing something, which it says it's doing. And then you take your informed call whether you want to contribute to that cause or not. So we are talking about that kind of value-based careers and meaningful work that this generation is picking up, which wants to make sure that when they join a place, how much ever little they contribute, it should be for the overall value and the purpose of the company. Next slide, please. So these are few graphics I thought will be interesting. One is, see the first picture where it says what an young professional expects out of a leader. When you join an organization, what do you want from a leader? So if we ask this question, say 5 years or 7 years back, I would have typically answered, I want a leader who supports me in my day-to-day job, who teaches me how to do things, right? But you see, what are the options there? What does the young generation want with the leaders? There is nowhere a question of technical competency. They don't want them to teach how to do the work because you guys know how to do it better. Okay? But they are looking for an empathetic boss, an honest boss, a supportive boss, a listening boss. All these are softer characteristics which go beyond the technical competency need. Right? It is more of the behavior of the leader that the employees are demanding. So the way leadership programs are defined in an organization takes shape because of this new set of expectations. They want to create inspirational leaders. They want to create leaders who can be role models instead of technically competent leaders. Then how you guys prefer to work, we saw that. It should be a hybrid work, not just it's completely remote work or it's completely office work. What I feel like I should be able to do. And this generation is more open about mental health. Yes? So 5 years back, walking into a psychiatric clinic is what? Is a shame, right? We call them Keelpakam case. No? Once you are having a problem, you are a Keelpakam case. But now it is no more a taboo to talk about mental health. Right? You guys are more forthcoming to tell that I'm not okay with this. I don't feel comfortable with this. Or this is disturbing me. I want my time off. How many of us have told our parents that we tell that, right? Why do we tell that without any shame? Is it because we are trying to communicate that I'm incapable of handling it in front of so many people? I want to get into my cocoon. It's not that. You know yourself better. You feel that 10 minutes off will help you recoup and you will perform better after that 10 minutes, right? So now this generation is very open about mental health, so much so that companies are forced to set up mental health call centers where a psychiatrist is available on a phone call to you. Like you can just dial in a number and start sharing what is your problem, right? So many companies have adopted that model. And there are companies which are even going further. There are artificial intelligence tools, like there is a tool called Lina AI, or there are multiple other tools, I'm just naming one, where if you type in a chat box, right, with a friend or you chat with a chat bot, telling that, say, I'm not so happy today, my boss told me this. It captures your mood, okay, and it gives you solutions or suggestions to bring you out of that mindset. So that level of catering to mental health is where companies are progressing towards, thanks to the openness about mental health with this generation. And why is there a need for more focus on mental health? One is the fact that people are becoming more open about it. The second is there is a need for mental health in today's world, right? More often we don't know what is virtual, what is real. That boundary has kind of blurred, right? So there is a lot of stress that this generation has to take just because of the information overload and the kind of things that we are exposed to and the kind of options that this generation has. So there is a need and there is an openness from the people as well, and companies have to cater to it. And they are already on the path to doing that. And brand loyalty, we spoke about that. Brand loyalty is no more about just big brands. Like, how many of you all have seen people being so happy to work for a startup? Why will anyone feel so loyal to a startup? Yes, I see so many hands. Why will people feel loyal to work for a startup? They don't have an established name. You go out and tell, I work in so-and-so company, nobody will recognize. The loyalty with the brand that you create is more personal these days, rather than the so-called brand image that the company has, right? So whether that company is adding value to the society, to the, to the world at large, whether it is solving the purpose of my work life, what is the meaning I attribute to work. So based on all that, we create a kind of brand loyalty even with startups. So we have to move far beyond telling these are big conglomerates or the big fours and all that. And every single company has the right to earn a loyalty in today's scenario, right? That is an important perspective for employers. The next one. So as I told you all, we'll look at two different aspects. One is the hiring portion separately, and then the talent management portion, which is when the employee has entered the organization separately. Why that is challenging for the companies and what the companies are doing to address this, right? So why hiring is challenging for companies? The number one answer there is candidate ghosting, right? What is ghosting? What is ghosting? When you just vanish, right? Have you heard the word candidate ghosting or some kind of ghosting? Especially in the dating scene, the word ghosting is very famous. Somebody tells they'll come and they ghost you. They don't come, right? Something similar to that is candidate ghosting, where they tell that tomorrow I'm joining your company, and when you call, you will hear the reasons which you will never hear throughout your life. Okay, the 10th grandmother would have expired, the 20th dog would have expired, and they would have just been on their way to office, somebody splashed something on them. So many weird reasons people give for not turning up. But the real reason being, candidates ghost an organization. They just suddenly vanish. And why they vanish is more often than not because of a communication channel being not existent between the company and the employee. Gone are the days when you release an offer, mention a joining date and forget about the employee. Now you can't do that. From the day of offer to the day of joining, there is something called warm-up calls we do. Just to keep the the candidates warm, making sure they are still available, making sure they are still interested. We try and probe a little further to see whether they are giving any other interviews. We create a matrix where we try and fit in, this person is 50-50 chance they'll join. Although they tell us 100% on the face, I'm going to come. Still the chances are 50-50, and you have to map this all. And if you're not mapping this all, day one when you're expecting 100 people to walk into your company, one guy will be sitting there, right? So that much responsiveness is important because people want to be kept warm. They want for follow-up calls. They want to make sure the organization cares for them to join. The next point is quite the opposite, not enough qualified talent. So one side we say that people don't get jobs, or there are, there are a lot of jobs, right? And on the other side, companies feel that there is not enough qualified talent. So that is the reason why a lot of industry immersion programs are born, right? Where they give you what is the skill set that is necessary for you to transition into the corporate work culture. So that is the second problem what the companies face. The third one is this requirement of hybrid and flexible work. Now you tell me, can you conduct a construction of a building in a hybrid model? I mean, a job of constructing a building? Or for that matter, running an airport? So you have to be there, right? There are certain jobs which require you to be physically present. Whereas the need of the incoming generation is different. They want a hybrid model. So there are offset measures which you take in order to compensate for the loss that people go through this. So that is one other challenge where certain industries which just cannot afford a hybrid culture face. Heavy volume of candidates and screening process being too complex. Now there are too many people when you call for a job. So how do you screen them all and also make sure that you filter out the right set of candidates. Also make sure that people don't get bored and walk away. See, if I'm conducting an interview for 50 people, the other 50 people, I'm just making them sit for 4 hours. If I come back and see, nobody will be there, right? So with the aid of technology and with the aid of various other AI-enabled tools, I came across a very interesting virtual reality tool by Tech Mahindra the other day. They were doing a service offering for our company, where now virtual reality is the thing, right? So we can always do a Zoom call, we can always create breakout rooms, we can always interview people online. But that feel of being connected, physical one-to-one is absent. So a lot of virtual reality tools are trying to bridge this gap, where the feeling of everybody being in the environment exists, but you're still at the comfort of your home. That's the concept of virtual reality, right? When you wear a VR headset, you feel like you're inside another world. So what the solutioning is like this. We give the inside infrastructure of the company or the interview room, the discussion room. They will recreate 3D models of all this as a virtual world. And whenever someone joins through the internet, you can create an avatar and walk into the discussion room. So if someone else joins from some other city, they walk into the same room. So now a lot of things become possible. It's not just you feel a part of the same room. You can have interactions, right? You can have that kinesthetic learning which gets lost in a virtual environment. There is no touch, there's no feel. So a lot of these things you try and blend it in, right? So these are things that companies are trying to do in order to handle this heavy volume of candidates and also improve the employee experience or the interview experience. Right? The next one. Okay, so improving the hiring process, we spoke about it. A few more things I wanted to touch upon. Like something as simple as a thank you for applying message. Right? We are so happy seeing that although we know it is an automated email, right? Still that is a necessity. You want to feel heard, right? Something like that. And then a greater use of social media. I never dreamt that I would put up a job advertisement in Facebook or Instagram for that matter, right? Because that is where you are. So now I'm forced to come where the people are seeing the messages. Rather than me just having it on LinkedIn and tell whoever comes to LinkedIn will see it, will not work. You have to go to Instagram to bring people to LinkedIn. It's a greater use of social media and extending your presence across the mediums that people are using. And that line is also slowly blurring, where you call something like a professional connection site or something as a socializing site. In LinkedIn nowadays, most of the motivational messages that is in Facebook is available, right? And people keep fighting in the comment section whether this belongs here. Now those boundaries have all gone out. Right? You have to do everything everywhere, still maintaining the decorum of the place. But the point is you have to reach out to where people are available. And then, this background checks and all, like there are some pre-employment checks that we do, right, before a candidate joins. There are background verifications, there are medical tests. All this are now completed way before your joining date. And in the morning, in the disruption of IT sector, Chandra was talking about the blockchain technology, right? So there are so many blockchain-enabled reference check modules that have come into workforce. So that you don't, that will also help in the candidate ghosting, right? If you don't join a company, who will know? Right now, only the recruiter or the company will know, right? So the work of blockchain-enabled technology is where a unique reference is created for your face, for your identity. So whatever interviews you attend, how many ever companies you have gone to, we can see the complete history with that blockchain-enabled technology. And we can either track it through your Aadhaar or we can track it through your face identification. Like there are so many means to do that. You are no more a singled out entity. You are a part of an ecosystem that is tracked, reported, monitored, and made transparent. Right? It works two ways. So as much as you want companies to be transparent, companies want you to be transparent. So that level of background checking we do in order, complete the exercises prior to the employee joining so that all that time is saved and the employee is comfortable in joining that organization. I think we have spoken about most of the other points here. Next one. Okay, once a Gen Z employee enters the organization, why managing them is difficult, right? So this generation wants instant gratification. Results in 2 minutes, not just noodles in 2 minutes. You want to do something, see the results in 2 minutes. Everything that the energy or the effort that you put into it should be paid back to you in some sense. So that kind of instant gratification, if it is not given, the people are feeling easily frustrated, right? So what we do, there are software which we use, right, for managing performance management. Earlier we used to use SAP, nowadays it is on the cloud, SuccessFactors. So in SuccessFactors there is a feature where a company assigns you goals, right? Those are not just broad goals, you have milestones to that goals. So you cannot wait for 6 months, 1 year to understand how much you have traveled in a goal. So milestone 1, have I achieved it in a month? Yes, then you should be appreciated for it and you should be compensated for it. Next, milestone 2, milestone 3. So you want to graduate from milestone to milestones, not just goal results to goal results. So that level of breaking down is happening. And impatience, we talked about it before. Staying motivated. So we saw there are various reasons why an employee feels motivated to turn up to work or motivated to continue to work. So a lot of personalization is happening. Someone in the morning also touched upon that, right? We cannot now go with a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a lot of personalization from an R&R program to a training program to a induction kit that we give. It is all personalized to the person that is walking in, so that you know that this company understands me as a person, not just as some XYZ employee who has joined. Okay, we should know you by name, we should know you by character. So that level of personalization is what they do to keep you motivated. Discipline. Now I might get a lot of slack for talking about this, but like when I used to walk up to my father and tell, okay, my father was good, he was still accommodating. I've heard from my friends who walk up and ask their father something, right? They will tell, Periyavanga mari pesada, you have heard that? So your voice was suppressed years back. Now if they tell that, ni periyavana, na periyavana, we ask, right? We have come to that stage where we want to be heard, right? And that kind of discipline where we expect that someone should respect us because of years of experience or because of the age, all that is gone. Okay, people now respect you for what you give to them, give back to them. If you're able to teach someone and improve them, they respect you. Not just because you have the tag teacher. Same applies in office environment as well. A senior doesn't work anymore. You have to show that you're a senior, right? So that level of discipline, we have to make note that the meaning of the word discipline has changed in this context. And a lot of diversity inclusion we talk about in this age, right? And when I say diversity, it's not just about gender diversity, right? There are more number of women coming up, into the society, into the, rising up the career ladder. That is just one part of it. When we say diversity, it is even at the level of thought process. It is even at the level of nativity. It is even at the level of language that you speak. So all kinds of people from far away are operating in the same system, right? So what kind of diversity inclusion programs the company has? So this is a buzzword that whether it is a diverse employer or not is one of the important factors what the Gen Z looks at. And work ethics, right? As we told, instant gratification is connected to this, where you want to be recognized for the efforts you take rather than the results you bring. Right? That's a common expectation these days. Right? Even though the efforts you take might not have translated into the results, still for the efforts taken, companies have to reward you. So that's why we break this into milestones and make sure that your efforts are fruitful towards the results, so that all the milestones count towards the result, right? So that kind of work ethic is also something that companies keep in mind. So the culture of organizations are getting reimagined, right? We don't, no more we can walk away saying, this is a legacy organization, this is how things work here, right? The culture is now more defined by this new set of people coming in. So it is about having an inclusive culture. The culture keeps changing every day. The norms keeps getting redefined every day in order to reshape the culture. And a very interesting concept that's happening is reversing the fit. I spoke about this in the beginning, where companies no more define a job and then find a person, right? It is the other way around. We find the talent if the companies feel that this person is talented in whatever sense that may be. Always big companies have that luxury of mix match the roles for the employee. So when we find a talent, then the job gets defined. Right? Most of the jobs are defined like that. In my career, I have seen places where I have walked into and the kind of job that they give, and then if they're able to do something different. Like for example, I can manage events a little well. So when I took up my event management, the company didn't say no. They didn't tell, as per your JD, you're not supposed to do event management. They let me do it. So then event management becomes a part of my portfolio. Was it there when I started? It was not there. Right? Nowadays, people walking into the organization can define jobs the way they want to, depending upon their talent. Right? That is where we are reversing the fit from the organization perspective. I'll take another 5 minutes and I'll close. I know it's lunchtime. Making the right first impression. The first impression is not just from your side, right? When we used to attend these interview programs or group discussions, how to attend, people always told us, to go and make a good first impression. Now, organizations are trying to make a good first impression, because once you learn about them, what you feel about them in the first interaction is what you carry. So why I'm explaining all this is because things are going to the extent where we will not imagine that organizations are taking efforts in order to cater to this particular generation, right? And then laying out expectations. So today's people want to know what they're supposed to do. So we do something called as a 30-day plan, a 90-day plan. In 30 days, this is what we'll do with the employee, day by day. Earlier, it was just an induction schedule, which was 2 days or 1 week at max. But now we have to give a 90-day plan. Till the 90th day, every day what an employee will do. So that level of detailing we have to get into. Next. So one other thing the companies do is providing feedback. Again, it is all about having an open channel of communication. It's a two-way communication. The good thing about this generation is they just don't want to hear good words. They want to hear the correct words, right? So if they are not doing good, they want to hear it, but in a proper way, in a respectable manner. So providing feedback and keeping the channel open for a two-way communication is something organizations do. And embracing their inherent skills, we spoke about this. It's not just about the skill for the job. Even if you have an inherent skill which is not directly related to the job, still companies try and find ways to utilize those skills. And finding ways to connect is something like giving feedback. Next one. So this is the last slide in my presentation. So what the Gen Z needs to do, right? So far we saw what the companies are doing. In between we also saw what this particular generation needs to do. So this is completely focused on what you guys should be doing. I mean, at least from my limited knowledge, what I have gathered from the research, this is what I feel that the Gen Z should be doing, right? First thing is being a fungible talent. Okay? When we say fungible talent, now the utilization of talent is across the spectrum of jobs that is available in the organization. So a person who is, for example, when we did a rotational GET orientation program when I was in L&T. So what we do, we bring in the new set of graduate engineers, right? We put them through a 6-month rotational training. So 1 month that person will be in project planning, the next month they'll be in construction, the next month they'll be in finance, The next month, they'll learn how designs are done. The next month, they'll be in infrastructure. So in 6-month period, you give them the complete view of what happens as an engineer, how your career will look probably 10 years down the line. And then you pick one skill after the other and try to build upon that. So what happens in the due course of time, you become a fungible talent. You're not restricted to one area of work anymore. So always focus on being a fungible talent where your talent can be used across the spectrum, and focus more on the mental health. We spoke about this. The need for focusing more is there, and the means of satisfying that is also available these days. And less confrontation and more dialogue. So the more you engage in dialogues, try to understand what is wrong rather than focusing on the person where you end up touching the ego. Rather focus on the results where you end up touching the processes, right? So that difference, if you understand why you shouldn't always focus on the person, because that strikes the ego. When you focus on the result, that strikes the process. So it's always the process that we want to correct, right? So get into more dialogues and do less of confrontations. You want to voice your opinions, we hear that, but do it in a more dialogue-based manner. And go beyond social media, right? So there are people who are social warriors, right? Who talk for Ukraine war on Facebook. That is still okay. You're being aware about that. But when something happens in your local community, in your locality, be more of a frontline warrior than a social warrior. And create your personal brand. That is my last statement. So, like we spoke that companies have changed. Now it is no more important for a company to have a brand, right? Because it's the other way around. Every individual needs to carry a personal brand, and they need to define themselves to a prospective employer, to a prospective, connect whomever you meet. They look at you and they form an opinion, and then based on your interactions, they get to know you. Have a brand, establish your brand, and grow higher with your lives. That is what I wanted to say today. Thank you so much. And one last thing. So I like connecting with students for counseling, career counseling. Whenever you feel you're lost, what you want to do next, feel free to write to me in my email ID. Whenever I have the time, I'll definitely respond. I like hearing the stories and giving solutions. So whenever we have the time, we can connect, do right, and always have your point of view, as we told before, to create your own personal brand. Anything that the audience would like to ask, I know it's lunchtime, you'll not ask anything, but still, for the sake of saying it, I'll say it. If you still feel like asking something, we can take 5 minutes or 4 minutes. Any specific questions?
Students, the session is open for questions. You can ask 1 or 2 questions if you have, please.
When will the lunch be served? 1:10. 4 minutes we have.
Yes, audience, any questions from your side?
Was I so boring you all thought I'll never answer your questions? Anything you wouldn't like to ask?
Kindly respond.
It's okay to ask anything. It need not be very specific to HR or to... Nothing? Okay. I'll assume that I answered everything in my presentation.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Sorry, I'm not able to see. Okay.
Sir, what is the one thing which you would recommend for the young youngsters to upcome in their life, sir?
One thing I didn't like about that question is you're making me feel very old.
No, sir.
Okay. No, just kidding. See, one thing that you all should focus on, I think I answered that in the presentation, but I'll make it a little more crisp for you. So now that you have a say and the world is ready to listen to you, right? Initially you had a say, there was no takers for what you felt like saying. Now learn ways of saying that in the way it will be heard correctly, right? So that's the basic rule of communication, right? So always we have problems, we communicate, we tell, I told what I wanted to tell, the person didn't understand. We tell that is not communication. Once the person has understood what you wanted to tell, and that is your duty to ensure. So now you have needs, you have expectations, you have your, passion, you have a platform to make yourself heard, make sure the other person understands your need, and more often than not, they'll fulfill it. But you just have to put it across in a way they understand it. Right? Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful audience. I was very happy to be here. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you, sir, for acting like a bridge between millennials and Gen Z. And you made it pretty clear that you kept the audience focused and interactive throughout the session. And thanks for equipping the audience to face the recruitment challenges and fulfill the expectations and to be aware of the company's perks and benefits on campus drive. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I can hear a lot of hunger screams from the crowd. And yes, we let you feel fridelicious now. Lunch tokens for the registered students is provided inside the conference.